Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you for logging in to the Sikh Research Institute webinar today. My name is Jasdeep Singh and I will be the host and moderator for today's session. The presentation will begin shortly, but before we get started, I want to review a few housekeeping items and let you know how you can participate in today's event. I will then provide some information about the Sikh Research Institute and Inni Kaur before handing over for the main presentation. So what we're looking at is an example of the GoToWebinar attendee interface, which is made up of two parts. The viewer window on the left, which allows you to see everything the presenter will share on their screen, and the control panel at the right. Within that control panel is how you can participate in today's event, so let's look at that. By clicking on the orange arrow, you can open and close your control panel. From the View menu, you can also set the control panel not to auto-hide if you prefer to always keep it open. The audio pane provides audio information. By default, you've joined the webinar via mic and speakers. Click the audio setup to select your computer speakers or headset devices. If you prefer, you can join the audio via telephone by selecting the Use Telephone, and the dial-in information will be displayed, including an audio pin. During the presentation, if you have any questions, you may send them to me through the questions pane. Simply type in your question and click Send. Inni Kaur will be answering all questions during the Q&A session at the end of the main presentation. As a reminder, today's session is being recorded, and everyone will receive an email within 7 days with a link to view the recording of today's event. If for any reason you experience any technical difficulties during the session and you can't see the main presentation, for example, then please do not hesitate to contact me via the chat panel. If you lose your internet connection or have to restart your computer during the session, then you can rejoin the session by clicking on the URL that is included in your original registration confirmation email. Finally, at the end of the presentation, I will launch a testimonial and feedback window. We'd appreciate if you could take a few moments and provide your feedback and comments on how this session went and how we can improve future sessions. I'll now provide some background to the Institute and also Inni Kaur. Over the last 7 years, SikhRI focused on community development through programs. Leadership programs, developing visionaries. They've trained 5,100 worldwide. Educational seminars, stopping misinformation. We reached 365,000 globally. K-12 services, teaching values and language skills. We served 48 schools, 700 teachers, and 2,700 students. Today's webinar is free of charge for all attendees. If you get value out of today's session, I strongly urge you to consider donating through the website at www.sikhri.org to assist in funding future live webinars for audiences all over the world. I'll also like to take a minute to introduce Inni Kaur, the author of The Journey with the Gurus, a series of children's books devoted to the life and teachings of Guru Nanak Sahib. Volume 2 was just released a few weeks ago, and today's webinar will be a story from the latest volume. Inni is also a published poet and teaches at Guru Gobind Singh Academy of Norwalk. She lives with her husband in Connecticut. Real quick, I want to go over the Q&A protocol. We strongly encourage you to help make today's session interactive. 20 minutes into the presentation, you'll have the ability to start asking questions pertaining to slides covered. If you have general questions, we urge you to wait until the end of the presentation. In the side panel, please state your name, city, and question. If you'd like to verbally ask your question, please confirm that you have a microphone. Please address all questions to me so I can compile them for Inni Penji. Now I'd like to pass it over to Inni Penji to begin today's presentation. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Give me 30 seconds as we shift our roles and give presenter rights to Inni Penji. Inni Penji, you're live. Penji, you can click the from beginning on the left-hand side.
um, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Can you hear me now, Jasmine?
I can hear you now, Penji. Thank you.
Okay. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh, boys and girls. Welcome to the webinar. Today's story is Chapter 3 from Volume 2 of Journey with the Gurus. Inni Kaur, God's Light in All. Early one morning, Guruji and Pai Mardana left Talwandi. Everyone from the village came out to say goodbye to them. The people were very sad. They wanted Guruji to stay with them forever. They really liked his message that we are all children of one God and that God's light is in everyone. I will be back, said Guruji, comforting them. Guruji and Pai Mardana crossed the river Bias and soon came upon a herd of rhinoceroses lazing near a watering hole. They walked carefully around them and rested far away from them. Guruji, where are we going? Asked Pai Mardana. Mardana, we are going to Saidpur. Someone is waiting for me over there. Saidpur? I wonder who's waiting for Guruji, thought Mardana. The sun was beginning to set as they entered the town of Saidpur. Guruji seemed to know where he was going. He led Pai Mardana past the shops and through the streets until they reached a small house at the end of the town. Pai Mardana looked puzzled. The house barely had a roof. It was falling apart. This was all very strange. God is great, said Guruji loudly as he stood outside this house. A man opened the door and came out. Lalo, said Guruji, I have come. My journey to spread the message that there is one God has begun. Pai Lalo was struck by the radiance on Guruji's face. He fell at Guruji's feet. My prayers have been answered. My prayers have been answered. Pai Lalo repeated softly as tears rolled down his cheeks. Guruji's eyes were flowing with love. He made Pai Lalo stand up and hugged him. Lalo, prayers of a truthful person are always answered. Please, please come in, Pai Lalo said, as he rushed to get a clean sheet to put on the manji for Guruji to sit on. Guruji, please rest. I'll go and get my wife from the field. We'll be back soon. Pai Mardana looked around the house wondering, who is this man? Why are we here? There's only one manji in this house. There's no carpet, nor a bedspread. Did Guruji leave a well-paying job with many people working for him, a comfortable home, a loving wife and family for this? Guruji knew exactly what Pai Mardana was thinking. Mardana, we have come to the home of a man who truly loves God. Do you know that while Lalo is working, he is always thinking about God? He works hard and never cheats anyone. He's grateful for all that he has and never complains. He lovingly and willingly shares with everyone whatever he earns. I will walk many, many miles to meet a true lover of God. Just then, Pai Lalo returned, carrying a manji on his back. His wife, Bibi Lajo, was behind him, carrying a bundle of fresh spinach. Shyly, she greeted Guruji and Pai Mardana and then rushed off to the kitchen to prepare dinner. Pai Lalo put the manji down in the courtyard and laid out a clean sheet for Pai Mardana and then sat quietly on the floor near Guruji. When dinner was ready, Pai Mardana brought a plate of spinach, dal, roti, and raw onions for Guruji and Pai Mardana. Guruji ate everything with great joy. Bibiji, you have cooked with love. Everything is delicious, he told Pai Lalo's wife. Bibi Lajo's face lit up hearing Guruji's words. Guruji decided to spend the next day with Pai Lalo. He watched him carve toys out of wood. In the afternoon, a few children stopped by to see what toys Pai Lalo had made. They loved visiting him. But the people in town did not like Pai Lalo. They feared that they might become impure if his shadow fell on them. That was because Pai Lalo belonged to the Shudra caste, the lowest caste. Meanwhile, Pai Mardana was spending his day walking around Saidpur. The sun was shining, a gentle breeze was blowing, and he was enjoying himself. A shop filled with nuts and all kinds of treats caught his eye. Paiji, can you pack these walnuts and almonds for me? He asked the shopkeeper. Sure, sure, replied the eager merchant. What else can I pack for you? Taste these dried apricots. They have just arrived from Kabul. Pai Mardana tasted the dried apricots. They were delicious. Pack me some of those as well. My name is Prasad Lal, said the shopkeeper, wrapping the supplies. You're new in town, aren't you? If you need any help, just come to me. I know everyone. Mine is the oldest family in town. Are you going to be staying for long? I don't think so. If I need anything, I'll be sure to come to you. Thanks for your kind offer, Pai Mardana replied. Where are you staying? Are you traveling alone? He asked. I'm staying with Pai Lalu the carpenter. I'm traveling with Nawab Daulat Khan Lodi's storehouse manager. Nanakji? Are you really traveling with Nanakji? Yes, replied Pai Mardana, wondering why Prasad Lal was getting so excited. This is wonderful news. I must tell everyone in town. The people will be thrilled to meet Nanakji. We all have heard how kind and fair he is. But why is he staying with Lalo? I don't know, replied Pai Mardana. Pai Mardana left the shop with a strange feeling. Maybe it wasn't such a good idea to tell Prasad Lal that he was traveling with Guruji. What if Guruji did not want to meet anyone? Oh no! What have I done? He thought. Soon he didn't feel so well. His stomach began to churn and his head started to hurt. I better go home and rest, he figured, and started to walk back. No one was home when he reached Pai Lalo's house. Just as well, he thought, as he laid down on the manji to rest. On the other hand, Prasad Lal could hardly wait to share his exciting news. He quickly went over to tell his friend Varyam Modi. Now, Varyam Modi was the biggest gossip, and the news spread like wildfire. Many people started coming to Prasad Lal to confirm what they had heard. It made him feel very important. Yes, he's here. I met his Muslim companion who told me everything. We should all go and meet him, Prasad Lal kept telling everyone. I want to meet Nanakji, said Badrinath, but I will not enter Lalo's house. Me neither, said Varyam Modi firmly. Why is Nanakji, who is a Khatri, staying with Lalo, who is a Shudra? This is unthinkable. And you say that he's traveling with a Muslim? They must be eating together, said Pandit Shankar Das, shaking his head and rolling the beads of his mala. This is terrible, really, really terrible. How can a person from a high caste eat food made by a Sudra or a Muslim? This is very bad, very, very bad indeed, added Pandit Ram Bhatt. Prasad Lal looked worried and confused. This was not the reaction he had expected. Maybe Nanakji doesn't realize that he's doing something wrong. Don't you think it's our duty to tell him? I'm sure once he hears what you all have to say, he will agree. After all, he is one of us, said Prasad Lal, trying to calm everyone. You may be right, said Pandit Ram Bhatt thoughtfully. Why don't we all go tomorrow morning to talk with Nanakji, said Prasad Lal. That's an excellent idea, agreed Pandit Shankar Das. Then it's decided. We'll meet here at 10 o'clock in the morning and go together, said Prasad Lal. Remember, Prasad Lal, none of us will enter Lalo's house. You must bring Nanakji outside for the meeting, said Pandit Shankar Das as he left. Everyone nodded. Next morning after breakfast, Guruji said, Lalo, I'm going to spend the day in the fields. Don't worry about me. I will return in the evening. Bibi Lajo quickly wrapped a few rotis, some pickle, and poured a jug of water for Guruji to take with him. Bless you, Bibi, Guruji said as he walked out with what she had given him. Pai Mardana, I have some doors to repair in town this morning. Would you like to come with me? Asked Pai Lalo. Yes, just give me a few minutes to get ready, replied Pai Mardana. Suddenly, they heard loud noises coming from the street. I wonder what's happening, said Pai Lalo, walking towards the door. Pai Mardana quickly followed him. Lalo, we are here to see Nanakji, Prasad Lal called out, loudly, standing far away from Pai Lalo. Oh no, thought Pai Mardana, I should not have told them about Guruji. What is going to happen now? I hope I did not cause any trouble. Pai Lalo got scared. Some of the people standing outside his house had been unkind to his wife and him. But whatever could they want with Guruji? Guruji left early this morning to spend the day in the fields, Bhai Lalo told them very calmly and politely. Prasad Lal looked around and looked at the others in the group. They nodded to him. All right then, we'll come back here. Bhai Lalo and Bhai Mardana looked at each other and let out a sigh of relief as they watched them leave. I wonder how they knew that Guruji was here, and why do they want to meet him, muttered Bhai Lalo. Yesterday, when I was buying things at Prasad Lal's shop, I told them, Bhai Mardana said, becoming very worried. Bhai Lalo, I think we should go and find Guruji. We should tell him that the people in town are eager to meet him. I don't want them surprising Guruji. What do you think? Excellent idea. Let's go quickly, replied Bhai Lalo. Meanwhile, Prasad Lal and his group of men were leisurely walking back to town. Suddenly, they heard a voice from behind. Ram, Ram, called out Hira Lal. Ram, Ram, they replied. You're all out very early. What are you doing so far away from town? Asked Hira Lal. We came to visit Nawab Daulat Khan's manager, Nanakji, who is staying with Lalo. But he was not there, so we are heading back. It's quite a disappointment. We were really looking forward to meeting him, said Pandit Shankar Das. I wonder if the man sitting under the peepal tree near the stream is Nanakji, said Hira Lal, rubbing his chin. Prasad Lal quickly jumped in. You saw him? Where? Where? I'm not sure if that is Nanakji, but there's a man sitting under a peepal tree in Devram's field. Let's go and find out. Hira Lal, lead the way, said Pandit Shankar Das firmly. Sorry, I can't go with you. I have to get back to my work. Just go to Devram's field and you'll see him there, replied Hira Lal, walking off. We'll find him, said Prasad Lal confidently. Follow me. I know where the field is. Hira Lal was right. There was a man sitting under the leafy shade of the peepal tree with his eyes closed. I wonder if that's him, said Bandrinath softly as they walked towards Guruji. Suddenly, they all became very quiet. They were stunned to see the radiance on Guruji's face. They sat down and waited for Guruji to open his eyes. When Guruji opened his eyes, he smiled at everyone. Are you Nanakji from Sultanpur? Asked Prasad Lal respectfully. Yes, replied Guruji. Prasad Lal was thrilled. We've heard such good things about you, Nanakji, that we just had to meet you. Have you come to Saitpur on behalf of the governor? We'd be more than happy to help you. Please let us know what we can do. Guruji smiled. I'm now sowing seeds of God's love in all hearts and sharing the message that God is in all and loves everyone equally. Pandit Shankar Das didn't like what he heard. He rudely interrupted. This message of yours is all wrong. You are a high caste Khatri. Don't you know that you must not stay in the house of a Shudra, and you must never, never eat food cooked by them? Guruji looked at Pandit Shankar Das and gently replied, to be proud of one's caste is of no use. The one God, the Oankar, creates all, resides in all, and protects all. Hearing Guruji's reply made Pandit Ram Bhatt furious. Guruji replied, a Kshatriya is one who is a champion of good deeds, who helps and serves others, who understands the purpose of life, who sows seeds of kindness wherever he goes. Only that Kshatriya is accepted in the court of God. Pandit Shankar Das went red in the face. You know nothing of our religion. The separation of castes is our way of life. We have followed it for centuries. The gods decide which caste we are born in. He fumed. Guruji calmly replied, caste is not created by God. There are no high or low castes before God. The person who forgets God is of the lowest caste. I've heard enough, said Pandit Shankar Das, getting up. You don't know what you are saying. Go back to where you came from. I thought you were a wise man, but I was wrong. Pandit Ram Bhatt also got up and shaking his head said, we made a mistake coming to you. Panditji is right. Go back to where you came from. Your message is all wrong. Everyone stormed off except Prasad Lal. Guruji's words had touched his heart in a very special way. He folded his hands and said, Nanakji, my name is Prasad Lal. Please forgive me for asking, but does God really love everyone equally? Guruji smiled and replied, yes, Prasad Lal, God loves everyone equally. God's light is in everyone. Prasad Lal became silent. This was all very new to him. He liked what he heard, but now he did not know what to do. He was a little confused. From a distance, Bhai Mardana and Bhai Lalu saw Guruji and came running. Guruji, Guruji, thank goodness we found you. We were so worried. There was a group of men who came to my house wanting to meet you, said Bhai Lalu. Just then, his eyes fell on Prasad Lal. Bhai Lalu immediately went silent and stood far away from him. Guruji smiled and said, Lalu, come and sit near me. Bhai Lalu hesitated. He had never sat near any high caste person before. Prasad Lal too looked very uncomfortable. He did not want Bhai Lalu's shadow falling on him. Guruji knew what they both were thinking. Gently he said, Prasad Lal, God's light is in everyone. Prasad Lal looked up at Guruji's radiant face. He was mesmerized. He immediately knew that what he was hearing was the true message. He bowed his head and said, from now onwards, I will follow all your teachings. You are my Guru. I promise not to judge people by their caste or how they look. Guruji then took out the rotis that Bibi Lajo had packed. He broke one roti and gave half to Prasad Lal and the other half to Bhai Lalu. Both men took the halves from Guruji's hand and ate them. United in love and freed from the bonds of caste, happy tears rolled down their cheeks. Bhai Mardana went and sat next to Guruji and started to play the rabab. Guruji sang, from God came the air, from the air came water, and from water God created the entire universe and everyone in it. And then, in each and every heart, the Creator has filled it with its divine light. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Benji, we don't have any questions right now, and this is for everybody who's attending the webinar. Um, if you have any questions, please use the questions pane to send us. If you'd like to verbally ask a question, then please make sure you have a microphone, and we will unmute you to ask the question.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh, Singhs and Kaurs. My name is Jasmine Kaur, and what we're going to do is, if you don't have questions yet, we were going to do a little reflection on the story. Wasn't that a beautiful story that Inni Auntie read to all of us? I thought it was really nice. And some of the important things that we saw in the story were, one of the big things was about equality, right? Making sure that no matter what who the person was, we have to remember not to discriminate. We have to remember not to make them feel like they are lower or they are higher. And the reason for that is because there's one divine light. There's a very special thing in all of us that is Oankar, that is Vaheguru, right? So it was so nice to see that Guruji, so many years ago, he made sure that we got the message that everyone was the same, that there wasn't anyone different, right? Some of you might have learned at school that there was a long time ago, not too long ago though, there was a difference between whites and blacks. The whites didn't want to sit with the blacks. They thought that they were not good. And some people, just a few, they said, you know what, there's something wrong with this picture. How could people be different if we're all born the same? We all have the same blood. We all have the same skin. We all have the same feelings. So why would they be different? So they started something called the Civil Rights Movement, right? They wanted to make sure that everyone had the same rights, no matter who they were. And for us, as Sikhs, Guruji told this to us a very, very, very long time ago. And that's what this story reminded me about. That if we live an honest life, if we are hardworking, if we are truthful, if we share with everyone, then automatically we'll know that God's love is in us, that we are part of Vaheguru, and automatically we'll know that everyone is equal. Right? Do you have any reflections? If you have any reflections, I would love for you to send it to us in the chat panel. And I do see that we have one question that came up, and it is from Jasmine Kaur, who is 8 years old, and she says, I'm 8 years old, I want to add a comment. She says, it wasn't a question, but she says, I really like the saakhi. Jasmine Kaur, can you tell us a little bit about what you liked about the saakhi? Does Jasmine Kaur have a mic? If not, you can put it in the chat panel, or you can type it in the question panel for us, and I can read it to everyone.
What did you like?
I can go ahead and unmute Preeti Kaur, who's I believe the mother of Jasmine Kaur.
What did you like? I like family. I like Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Can you hear?
Yes.
I can hear you a little bit. You might have to repeat it for us, Preeti Benji.
Okay.
But Jasmine Kaur, we heard you say.
I like Jasmine Kaur when Guru Nanak Dev Ji shared the Bhakti by Wallo, and What's that? She said she liked the part where Guru Nanak Dev Ji shared the roti with Sai Lalo
And Prasad Lal.
Prasad Lal thing.
Right, right. And what does that remind us of? Does that remind us of langar like we had at the Gurdwara? That it doesn't matter who comes in. Guru Sahib was showing us, right from the very beginning, that everyone is equal and we share our food with everyone, right? It doesn't matter if it was Prasad Lal or Pai Lalo. Pai Lalo's wife had made this wonderful food for Guru Sahib, and he shared it with everyone. So to me, that reminded me a little bit about our langar at Gurdwaras, and maybe we also have to think about to make sure that we never say no to anyone to come into our Gurdwaras to have langar, right? Yeah? Excellent. We're glad that you liked that part. Is there anyone else who would like to share with us what they liked or what they thought about when they were thinking of, when they were listening to the saakhi, to the story? Any of the parents, if you want to share something with us, we would love to hear that as well. Everyone's probably thinking about the story and thinking about how is it that we can use it in our everyday life, right? So when we go to Gurdwara tomorrow or when we go to school, we can think about when we say to maybe another friend, or when we look at someone and we think, I don't want to play with that guy, or I don't want to play with that girl because, you know, they look funny or they act funny, and that's not really so nice, right? It's a good way for us to kind of remember that Guru Sahib reminded us that everyone has the same divine. Can you hear me, everyone?
Yes, we can. Not sure what happened there.
Okay. So even though Guruji's message, it was unpopular, right? It wasn't popular. All the pundits, they were saying, Guruji doesn't know what he's talking about. But those who really had love in their hearts, those who really felt that there's no difference, they understood it very quickly, right? And one of the reasons why his message was not popular is because people were taught a certain way. They were taught that they were different castes, so they thought that that's the right way. But when we use our heart and our mind to think about what is right, then we usually get the answer very quickly. Right? So I hope everyone will remember that when they leave this webinar. And what we would really love is when you think of things that you remember from the saakhi, please ask your mom or dad, or if yourself, if you can do it, send an email to us at info@SikhRI.org and tell us what you thought about. Because that way we'll know what it is you're remembering from the saakhis, from the stories. And then we can do more and more stories like this on webinars as well. So I hope all of you really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed it. Even though I read the story before, it was so nice to hear Inni Auntie read it. And if you don't already have the book, you might want to ask your parents to get you the book. There are 2 books like this. This is book number 2, Journey with the Gurus. There was book number 1 that tells us about what happened when Guruji was born. And this book number 2 is about when Guruji goes out on his travels and meets all the different people and shares his message. So it would be a lot of fun for you and your family to get together and read all the stories from this book. He walked all over, right? He walked all over to send his message to spread his message about how Vaheguru was in everyone. Oankar was in everyone. And don't you think that if he walked all over, he was probably very strong? Because that was his way of doing exercise. So we have to remember, we have to make our body strong and we have to make our mind strong. So if we want to be like Guruji. I hope all of you can remember that, and I hope I can remember that too. Thank you for coming to the webinar. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Jasmine Penji, there's a couple of comments in the questions pane.
Excellent. Do I need to go and look at those, or you'll read it out for us?
I can read them out.
Okay.
Ekta Penji has said that Tavan, my son, really liked the pictures that came with the story.
Okay.
And we're glad that you like them, Tavan. I'm sure you can hear us when we're speaking here.
I see the questions.
Yeah, and Parveen Penji is saying that Nivaz is being shy, but she wants to say thank you to Inni Auntie. And she's saying that she loved the story time too.
Excellent. That's wonderful. And we'll do a lot more of these story times. Do you guys agree? I hope you're saying yes, we agree, even though we can't hear you all. Excellent. Thank you everyone for your comments. Inni Penji, would you like to add something at the end? I think Inni Auntie is also being a little shy, like Nivaz Kaur.
Inni Penji wasn't mute.
Go ahead, Inni.
Boys and girls, I really enjoyed having all of you here listening to the story, and thank you for saying that you like the images, the paintings. And Nivaz, I'm glad you liked the story. And what was the lovely? That was a really, really nice comment which you made, that you liked the part where Guruji shared the bread, the roti. You know, when I was writing that part, I had tears rolling down my eyes because I could see the scene, and that's what I wanted them to know. Both men, one was very rich and of a high caste, and one very poor, paila, low caste, both taking rotis from Guruji's hands. How lucky could they be? And then I thought to myself, I said, I wish I was there too. But then I thought about my langar. Every time I go to the Gurdwara and I sit there and I get my prashada in my hand and I hold it in my hand and I just bow to it and I say shukr, because I think of that as from my Guru. So it's all very, very connected. And you are so special, Loveleen, to have picked that out, because that was probably one of the nicest scenes in the story for me. I know a lot of other people will have very other things that were important to them, but for me, that was a very special. So thank you very much. And I enjoyed doing the story. We'll do some more if Sikh Research Institute can do a couple more. But thank you all for being here, and now enjoy the rest of your Saturday afternoon. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
All right. I'd like to thank Inni Penji and Jasmine Penji for a wonderful story time and comments section. And thank you all for logging on to this webinar event today. We try to make these better as we go along. And with regards to that, I'd like to launch a feedback and testimonial window right after we end this webinar in the next few seconds. So if you can take a few minutes of your time, provide us your valuable feedback on how we can make these sessions more interactive, or in short, better, so you can take more value out of it as well as enjoy as much as you can. So thank you once again. And as soon as I end the webinar, a window is going to pop up where you can put in some of your comments regarding how we did. So Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.